Yo, what's going on, guys? Snooze Band back here with another YouTube video, and today we're actually talking about how to prioritize who to keep and cut here in Madden 22 franchise mode. Now, before I do get started in today's video, make sure you guys are, if you guys are new, make sure you guys are leaving a like and hitting that sub button down below. Really helps me out. Also, if you guys have any new suggestions, go ahead and leave that down below as well. But guys, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and head over to team salaries. That way we have a broad layout on who's really getting paid here, and guys that we can just filter through the positions here and see which guys that we can actually obviously cut or keep. Now, keep obviously in reminder here, I'm not going to really do much here because this is a 32-man league and it's obviously the latest franchise I've opened and played with, so I want to make sure that it's obviously easy for me and for you guys. So the first thing that I want to show you guys and talk about is players that have no money to them and no penalty. Go ahead and just keep those guys. Obviously we're talking about prioritize. Those are the type of guys that we want to keep. Let's see if we want to filter. Obviously someone like this. Now, he is a backup. You probably wouldn't want to get rid of him anyways, because injuries are on. Now, a guy like Kyle Allen, obviously normal 67 overall. You're not going to get much for obviously dumping a guy that literally has 680K to his name. I mean, this guy is pulling in six figures, which again is amazing, but I mean, people make that outside of pro sports, so so right there, it's probably not going to be able to make a lot of money right there if you guys do cut that right there. Now let's go ahead and move over maybe to the running back side. Again, 860K to his name for 2022, 970K. He's only on a $3.61 million contract. That's not too crazy, but at least we're in the millions. We can probably go ahead and maybe move along with a guy like Khalil Herbert if you like a 66 overall as your backup running back, but obviously that's not me. I like depth, which is another part that I want to get into later. But I would go through here, guys, and obviously determine guys that obviously you obviously must keep because they're just not really getting paid a lot. So you have to look through your guys and make sure guys that aren't really making anything that you just can't give up. So that's really step one, guys, is going through and just taking a look at your guys' roster. I feel like a lot of you guys in franchise mode don't look at your guys' roster enough and go into team salaries and check out and prioritize things on who to keep and who to cut. But go through here, guys, and make sure some of these guys that aren't really getting paid, realize that if you do cut them, it's not really making a lot of money right there. But guys, number two, I want to go ahead and talk about obviously guys that are getting paid a lot, but there is a certain standard that comes with that. So let's say that actually Uchenna Nwosu is a perfect example right here. So as you guys can see, he's on a $24.9 million contract over the course of 5 years, as you guys can see. But the problem is, and he has a 79, but he is a superstar outside linebacker, as you guys can see. So I would never cut or really trade a guy like this. But let's just say it's a 79 normal older linebacker that we want to move on from. Now, we have to look at his penalty and realize that it obviously is much more than his current rate that he's getting paid at for this year at 2022. So he has a $9.4 million cap penalty compared to $5.41 mil for 2022. Now, if you were to obviously take that into consideration, you were able to subtract those numbers, you would realize that if you cut him for the future, you really wouldn't be making anything. You'd obviously make back a little bit of money just by cutting him because of how big his contract is. But remember, you have to pay out his $9.4 million cap penalty, so it is a pretty big cap penalty because of the contract size. So make sure you guys are going through here and understanding some of these big time contracts that you want to obviously move on from. Guys that aren't really doing much to your team, realize that if you guys are realizing that they have a big cap penalty, it might not be smart to go ahead and cut them ultimately, just because again, it's a big cap penalty that you might not want to fulfill and pay out. Again, Jalen Smith right here actually is a very good example right here. A guy that's 75 overall, let's say he's an older guy that I'm not using. I have a lot of depth here under Jalen Smith that I want to use. He's getting paid 12.3 mil and his cap penalty is the exact same as Nwosu. Obviously 67.2 mil total over 5 years of length. But I'm paying him more this year, the following year, 2024. I'm paying him more and more and more and I'm paying him way more than his current cap penalty at 9.4 mil. So I'd actually considerably make a good amount right there by moving on from Jalen Smith. So guys, if you guys wanted to move on from a player like this is pretty smart because I wouldn't really have to own anything. I'm paying much more than his penalty, so this is a perfect guy if you guys wanted to prioritize getting rid of him. Let's say if I had depth, perfect guy that we could move on from. Another thing that I want to do, guys, is where is your guys' cap space? My current cap space is -4, but if I were to back out and show you my cap space to my future cap space for next year to re-sign my players is at like 70 mil. So my future cap space for next year is way better, but this is after post free agency. I did just go ahead and re-sign those guys, so that's probably weighing down my cap space a little bit, and for this year obviously, and it's probably a lot of cap penalties that are backed up because I made a lot of trades in this league. As you guys can see, not a lot of the same Bears players are on here, really none, but again, I was trying to win. But as you guys can see, again, my cap space isn't great. I probably, if I really wanted to move on from these guys, I could. So some of these guys that have really big contracts, if I had a lot of depth, which I don't have a lot of depth on this team, it's a lot of 1 or 2 position players, then I would go ahead and move on from some of these guys that have obviously bigger contracts with not obviously very high cap penalties. I would immediately move on from that, guys, and obviously make back my cap space. If you guys have 30-40 mil right here cap space, which I know a lot of you do that are pretty smart with you guys' cap space by now this late into the Madden season, then guys, I would not really go crazy. Make a couple cuts that you guys that really don't obviously produce. The biggest thing, which guys produce, which guys don't. And another thing, guys, which brings me into one of the last things, age and development. So how old are they? What is their development? So I just brought up Nwosu and his age. He was like 26, 27, superstar dev, outside linebacker. You're not going to get rid of that considering his development, his age, and what he brings to me as an outside starting linebacker. Some of these guys that are backups for you guys, if you guys have a lot of depth, I would look into some of these positions you guys probably have like 3-4 players at, and there's a couple of those guys probably at least within those few players in those positions to where you can easily move on from one of those players if they are considerably being paid a lot, and obviously their cap penalty isn't through the roof, so you don't have to pay that out for years to come. But go ahead, guys. Ultimately, which guys produce, what is their age and development, is it smart to move on from them, and cap space, what is it at? For me, -4. Yeah, it would probably be smart to go in here and obviously move on from some players. But guys, understand some of those notes that I gave out to you guys. It is a lot to take in, obviously, but I feel like a lot of you guys probably already do these things, but obviously putting all these together in this video will probably help you out in the future if you guys are struggling with cap space and just ultimately trying to bring back your guys and re-sign them, and trying to obviously just ultimately bring in more cap space and being able to sign free agents. I know I've made a couple of free agency videos that you guys really like and love to see, and you guys want to be able to bring in a lot of players in free agency, but you can't. So I'm hoping this video obviously hit a lot of the bullet points that you guys want to see in terms of how to prioritize cap space and who to cut and who to keep, guys. But ultimately, hopefully, again, if this video did help you guys out, make sure you guys are leaving a like and hitting that sub button down below. Again, I would like to hit 2.5k subs in the nearby future. We are closing in, if not already hit 2.2k subs. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support of late. I cannot believe I have hit this point. So again, thank you guys for all of that. But guys, until the next tip video, again, leave something down below what you guys want to see next. But guys, I will see you guys in the next video.